Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. I hope everybody's doing well today. As you can see, we have a little change of venue going on as it is pouring rain out right now thanks to Tropical Hurricane Nestor, who has invited itself into this little party. So today, a little change of venue. I'm working from inside, which is unusual for this channel. This is my office, my hobby room. As you can see behind me, there's a little bit of storage going on. So it's kind of become my everything room. In our other house, we had a separate kind of hobby storage room, and then we had an office. But because this is configured a little differently, we kind of had to move things around. So it's going to work out well. This is my room, my man cave, my man room, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to be fine. I got my ham radio stuff here. I got my computer, of course. I've got, you can't see it, but back over that way, there is a lazy boy type recliner where I can read. There's a light behind it so I can sit in here and read when I don't want to be disturbed. I have some desk space for other projects, which I'm going to attempt to keep clean. Also, too, I'm using a different microphone today. This is the microphone that I normally use with my ham radio. It is a broadcast slash studio type microphone, and typically it has a nice sound to it. When I moved to this house, I had to make some concessions about what room I had, and so I have configured it so that this microphone I can feed into my computer or I can feed to my ham radio. It can do it simultaneously. So if I really want to, if I wanted to record a ham radio conversation, I could. But in general, it's just for conservation of space. I don't have the boom exactly where I want it, but that's drilling another hole, and I'll save that for another day when I have more time. So I wanted to take a little bit of an opportunity today and try to update on some of the things that's going on around the homestead. We've been living here for 3 or 4 weeks now. We've gotten almost settled in. We finally got the last of our stuff out of storage into the house and our sheds this past week. Now it's unboxing and still putting away stuff. But every day it's a few less boxes, and so that's a good thing. It's been raining. It didn't rain for about a month, and now it's raining quite a bit. So we have a big mud pie outside, and I'm seeing areas where I need to apply some gravel, which I will do once I get my tower up. If those of you that have watched the video previous to this, we spent this morning in the rain putting the tower together. It's a 70-foot tower. And then now all I have left to do is put the antennas and the coax on it, and then we can raise it up, and then that project will be done. There's a couple reasons for that big a tower. The main reason is our internet is over radio frequency, up around the 1-2 gigahertz range. And it's pretty zippy. But I had to get an antenna high enough to get over the treetops, because when radio frequency is that high, trees, leaves, especially pine needles, block that signal and you get a reduced throughput. And while we have a temporary antenna up now, it does pretty good. However, we do want to get the internet antenna up a little higher so we get a better view of the transmitting tower, and that'll help us increase our throughput, and we'll get better service. And we need that service because we still work from home and we use the internet quite a bit. So that's why the tower. Now, as a bonus to that, on top of this tower, I get to put a VHF, UHF antenna, and then about halfway up, I get to sling my HF antenna, which is a 270-foot off-center fed dipole. And it'll go 180 foot one way and 90 foot the other way, and then I'll be set up as far as my radio is concerned. So everything's a little bit of a step. Also, what we have going on after this project is I got to start putting up fence. We haven't put up fence for the dogs yet. And because one of our dogs is a runner and one is a puppy, we still have to walk them. And it gets kind of tedious, especially on days like today when it's raining. But hopefully after the tower project is done, I can work on at least getting a dog run up where we can just let the dogs out the back door and they can go romp and frolic and, do the things that dogs normally do. Moving, I want to talk about homesteading, and, there's a lot of stuff when you talk about, buying land and then preparing land and then getting ready to move on to it. It's not, unless you got lots of money, it's a slow process. And when you consider that, especially if you're buying vacant land or land that has no improvements, it's full of nothing but trees and shrubs, there's a lot of work you have to do before you even get to a place where you can live. We were lucky on this property. It was still partially cleared. We still had to spend a couple $1,000s to clear it more. And now that we've got it cleared, now we've got to put cover, some sort of ground cover over the land, because it's a big mud pie out there. Our floors in the house are a mess for the dogs and us tracking in and out and working outside. But hopefully, in the upcoming weeks or at least the upcoming months, we can get to where we get some sod or some grass seed down and we can start, putting something on top of the dirt besides dirt so we won't track in as much work. I've got a lot of gravel work I have to do. I do have gravel off the main street coming back here, but now I have to apply more gravel where we normally park our cars, again, to keep us from tracking a lot of dirt into the house. And so it is a process, and it's just slow going. And but we're getting there, and I'm a little older, as you can tell, and so I don't quite move as fast as I used to. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and that is, the prepper movement. And I've been doing this for about 50 years. I mean, I've followed it. I started in the 70s, gone through the 80s, the survivalist movement in the 90s, Y2K, and now the prepper movement. And, I'm getting tired of some of it. It's this constant drone of we're going to die, or this constant drone of the world is going to come to an end. And, it's the beat of that drum. And after a while, you just get tired of it. And I've gotten kind of tired of it. And so one of the things I wanted to say is that, starting off with this video and maybe future videos, it's going to be less about stuff. It's going to be less about, zombies or Nibiru, or, the world's going to come to an end, or, our world as we know it is going to go. And, bottom line is, does it really matter? I mean, does it really matter other than to give you something to talk about? If you're prepared, if you have some community, and if you're prepared, then it really doesn't matter what triggers the event as long as you're prepared. And like I said, I'm a little bit older now, and I'm at the point in my life where I want to start enjoying life and not have this constant drum of, oh, we're going to die sort of stuff. And so you may see me start to step back, and you may see me start to talk about other things than that constant drone of prepping. I've become more of a homesteader than a prepper, where I'm taking care of my property, I'm taking care of myself, I'm trying to enjoy life while still being prepared for events that may happen. And I've been on this earth for a long time, and a lot of the stuff that people are talking about just hasn't happened. Now, might it happen? Yes. But when you start talking about probability, when you start talking about, will it happen to you, and how will it affect you? I think if you are prepared, if you have enough food, if you have enough water, if you can maintain sanitary conditions, and can you defend your family? Um, I think once you get to that point, it's time to think about other things. There's other things I want to do with my life, especially since I'm entering the fourth quarter, so to speak. But it's time to enjoy. So you'll hear me maybe talk more about homesteading projects and you know canning food or preserving food, things of that nature. But all this other stuff, I've just kind of had enough of it. So I have hobbies, other hobbies I like to experience. I do amateur radio. I do that with the intent of emergency service. I do work for my church with that. I do work with my local community with that. And so I enjoy that. I'm also a bird watcher. I like to go bird watching. And that's a great stress reliever, just to go out and not think about all this other stuff and just watch the little birds fly through the trees. Some might say that, but a good bird watcher is a good observer, maybe a good intelligence gatherer. When you consider that a lot of the birds we look at are little, they weigh 1.5 to 2 ounces, maybe 2-3 inches long. They're yellow. A lot of times they're flitting through the trees, sometimes up in the tree tops. And, they're moving at between 10 and 20 miles an hour through these trees. And you might only be able to see a square inch of them at any given time as they're going through the trees. And by doing that, you should be able to identify the bird. And oh, by the way, you're looking through 8-power binoculars when you're doing this. And so anybody that can be that observant might be a pretty good intelligence gatherer for you, because they see things quickly and they remember them. So I consider my bird watching, kind of a, training for other things. But again, I've kind of pulled back off of that, and I just worry about what goes on around me. I don't necessarily worry about the world anymore, and even other parts of the country. I just worry about what happens around me. So, it's just a change that I'm going through, because I want to, I told a guy one time, he was complaining, and he was in his mid 40s, and he was starting to complain about aches and pains and things he hadn't noticed before, which if you're not in your mid 40s yet, you have that coming. And I looked over to him and I said, "Oh, well, that's because you're entering the drop dead zone." He says, "Oh, gee, thanks a lot. What does that mean?" And what it means is, starting about the mid 40s, you begin to notice that people around you, your peers, maybe not necessarily your friends per se, but people, around the periphery of your circles, sometimes just drop dead, and they're your age. And the older you get, the more that happens. And so I call it the drop dead zone, and it's a reality check. You start facing your mortality, and it's something that's going to happen, so you don't fret about it too much. But you start to think, all this other stuff is just not near as important as just maybe enjoying life and having a good time. And so I guess what I'm saying is I'm there. I mean, I've been in the drop dead zone for a while, and I've had friends and family and acquaintances and people on the periphery of my circles just drop dead. A lot of my Army buddies are dead now, not from war, but just from life. And so, for me, it's time to, kind of kick back a little bit and kind of relax and enjoy life and let things happen. I still, like I said, we still put away food. We still take care of our life. We are, making our property suitable for us. It's going to take some time. So, you'll hear different things from me. And I just wanted to, take a moment today from inside my house, because it is pouring rain out. Um, I wanted to take time and let you guys know I'm still here. But I don't normally do inside stuff. But this is my little kingdom right here. So anyhow, I want you all to take care of yourselves. If you're in the path of Tropical Storm Nestor, you may expect a lot of rain, maybe some flash flooding. So be careful out there. There's some winds. There's flooding. So be careful. Check your preps, but don't make them the dominant part of your life. And enjoy yourselves. I hope everybody will have a peaceful day today. For those that practice the Sabbath today, and for those that practice tomorrow, the same to you. Peace with you all. Stay safe and stay secure. And we'll see you out there.